I'm Alex Ballin, and you're watching Inside the Nest.
I'm Jack Bartek.
I'm Alice Grabiak.
And you're watching the semester finale of
Inside the Nest!
Can you believe it, Alex? The end of another great semester, a lot of fun memories, a lot of great pieces, and all around just a great time producing the show with you.
Yeah, it's definitely been a pleasure. I mean, we did a lot of great things this semester. We had our homecoming game day. You had a crowd following you. I mean, this was amazing, and it all thanks working with these great people.
Yeah, Alex, it was a total blast making the show this semester. We hope that you enjoyed, and we want to thank you all very much for tuning in, following all semester long. Stay tuned for next semester, but for now, we hope you enjoy the last show of this semester and enjoy your winter break. We'll see you in the spring.
This past Wednesday, the men's and women's basketball teams were in for another NJAC doubleheader as they faced William Patterson. First, let's start off with a highlight from the women's game.
The Montclair State women's basketball team was cruising in the first half, leading William Patterson by 13. But then in the second half, the Pioneers came alive and exploited the Redhawks defense. With 6 minutes left in the second quarter, MSU has the lead at 17-14, and Nikki Carter knocks down a three, putting them up by 6. Carter continues to play well as she gets the ball again for 3, and the Redhawks go up 23-16. Carter had 7 threes for the game. But it wasn't just threes. Carter scores in the paint to extend the lead to 9. She had 31 points on the day. 3 minutes into the fourth quarter, the momentum completely switched to the Pioneers. A jump shot scored by Brianna Brooks to cut the Redhawks' lead to 2. Then right after, Trisha Peterson had 1 of her 7 misses from 3, and Yakira Rosa from William Patterson gained then another possession. And then Brianna Smith comes down the court on the fast break and scores once again and tied the game. She was one of the 2 Pioneers with 19 points in the game. Montclair State drops to 2-5 on the season, and with their 3rd loss against NJAC opponents already, the Redhawks continue to play very shaky this season.
Going forward, we definitely need to work on just keeping our composure. We know it's a game of runs. We know other teams are going to have their runs. We just need to know how to bounce back from that, and today we didn't. It's been a tough start to the season. There's been a lot of adversity we've been facing, but we know whoever's in that locker room, we need to come together more now than ever. It's easy to just give up, but we need to come together and just got to keep moving forward.
Despite the loss, it was still a historic week for Carter. Going as far back as game logs have been recorded, nobody in program history had scored 60 or more points over a 2-game stretch until she did it this past week with 29 against TCNJ, following it up with 31 versus William Patterson. She climbs to the top of that list over 2 former first-team All-Americans in Katie Sider and Melissa Tobey. It's also worth noting the program's all-time leading scorer, Carol Blazejowski, averaged over 38 a game back in the 1977-78 season. For you non-math majors, that would add up to about over 76 points every 2 games. Unfortunately, that was before game logs existed, so we'll never know. Nonetheless, some impressive company for the junior.
We were on the call for this one, and Nikki Carter really balled out. She did everything she could to win this game. The Redhawks just couldn't get it done, John.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is she needed help from the rest of her starting lineup, but their shots just weren't falling.
They couldn't shoot the 3-ball. It's a huge part of this team's game, as they took 30 in this one compared to William Patterson's 7. They have starters outside of Carter that are talented and can shoot well, but in this game they couldn't get it going.
It's a startling departure from last year where they were deadly from the perimeter, shooting 34% in 10 games. Now that number's 25% through 8 games, and they need to get back on track sooner rather than later.
Looking at the numbers side by side really shows the disparity. The rest of the starters combined for 21 points. They went 2 for 21 from 3 and 7 for 39 from the floor.
Yeah, Carter has been that bright spot for them recently. Her 7 threes were a career high on her way to a 12 of 17 game and 31 points as a result.
The women's team couldn't get it done, so it was up to the men's team to try to salvage an even night for Montclair State basketball.
The men's team also took on William Paterson on Wednesday night. William Paterson took the lead early when Adrian Lopez hit a 3 to put them up 15-12 in the first half. The play sparked a William Paterson 15-14 lead. Steve Bremen continues his incredible season with this layup to put Montclair State up 41-39 in the second half. Then, William Paterson's Brian Monahan hits this 3 to cause the Red Hawks to take a timeout after having a lead of 71-61. Adrian Lopez puts this game away with a layup, and the Red Hawks drop the game 84-74.
When you look at it, at one point the other night we had 4 freshmen and a junior on the court. So the inconsistency has got to change in order for us to be successful. The youth can't be an excuse much longer. So we got to figure some things out. We've played well in stretches, but in order to win in college basketball, you got to be playing 30 to 35 minutes of really good basketball, and we're somewhere in the 20 to 25. So we got to change.
Breaking down the Red Hawks' loss can be attributed to 3 crucial factors. First, guarding consistency. It's been one of the key issues in the Red Hawks' inability to win games early on in the season. Devin Cooper had one of his poorer performances of the season, finishing the night 2 of 10 from the field alongside 5 turnovers. On this play, a Devin Cooper turnover nearly leads to an easy 2 points by the Pioneers, with the layup just off the mark. He's not alone. Out of 24 turnovers, the guards contributed 21. Irving Callender had 5 of his own. Turnovers wouldn't be so bad if William Paterson hadn't scored 23 points off those turnovers, including this turnover by freshman guard Kyrie Henry, which leads to an open 3 on the other side by the Pioneers. All these issues only look to hurt them in the NJAC standings.
Montclair State's basketball teams both had their own issues against William Paterson, but was hoping to change that as they hit the road this weekend to face Stockton. The women's team was able to come out on top and defeat the Ospreys 60-55. This was thanks to a solid game from KENDALL Hodges with 16 points and 9 rebounds, and Kelly Smith being a spark plug off the bench and recording a double-double. Unfortunately, on the men's side, they held their own but lost to a tough Stockton team 89-82. With both Bremen and Callender recording 20 points each, it still wasn't enough to beat the Ospreys. Let's take a look at the NJAC Conference standings. And as you can see, the Red Hawks are trailing at the bottom of the board. The women are the 7th seed right now, and the men are the 8th seed. There's still time left this season, but the Red Hawks have a lot of work to get there. Both teams have one more game left before the women host a holiday tournament December 29th, and on the very same day, the men travel all the way to Baltimore, Maryland.
Montclair State men's basketball got a big player back this season. Senior forward Steve Bremen returns to the court after a season-ending injury last year, but things did not look so good when the injury happened.
When I first came down on it, my ankle last year, I heard like cracks and pops, which is totally abnormal, and I was in a lot of pain. And I immediately knew that it wasn't good and it was going to be a long type of injury. But when I was diagnosed with a sprain, I was really relieved. Fortunately, our season got cut short, so I wasn't able to make it back.
For the first time in his athletic career, Bremen was going to be watching from the sideline. But to him, the worst part had nothing to do with the injury itself.
I wasn't really thinking about the pain or the rehab part. I'm going to miss being out here with my guys, and I know that they were going to pick me up. So I was confident in the next man up, as always. So that was basically what was going through my head at the time.
Losing Bremen was a big loss, and nobody knew that more than head coach Justin Potts.
When he went down, you knew it wasn't great because the air kind of went out of the room a little bit. You could tell he was in a lot of pain. Had a chance to talk to the training staff the next morning, and at that point we kind of had an idea that he'd be out for a little bit.
While injured, Bremen made the most of the situation. He took on a bit of a player coach role, which sophomore guard Kieran Flanagan credits as something that helped himself improve as a player.
I mean, he's been huge. He's given me a lot of confidence just with my shot and everything, just playing-wise. I mean, coming in as a freshman, I didn't really know how I fit in with this team or how I was going to do. And Steve, just since day one, he's just kept motivating me and making me the best player I am.
Bremen helping out his team came as no surprise to those who know him. Coach Potts feels that he's a great example or what others on the team should strive to be.
Yeah, just a hard-working kid, a guy that really understands the work that needs to go in to be successful. When we recruited him coming out of high school, I thought he had a chance to be a really good player because of his work ethic and his commitment to things. So just a really hard-working young man with a great family that's really committed to winning and is a really, really good teammate.
Bremen at full health is a big boost for MSU, and you'll be hearing his name a lot at the Panzer Athletic Center, just like this. For the MSU women's basketball team, you may notice there's something different about them. If you watch a game this season, you might get a glimpse of a new look Red Hawk team. Those following the team on social media saw a unique set of alternate jerseys. The new jersey combines a retro-inspired font with a primary black color never worn by them before. It's a thrilling moment for everyone on the team.
We were excited when we heard that we would be able to, to get a black uniform to wear occasionally. We thought that the girls would really like it. One of the things we're working on is our toughness, and I think the black uniform kind of represents toughness a little bit. So, it's always fun to have something like that.
While the look might stand out on the court, the true meaning behind these jerseys lies off it. None of this would have been possible without some help. In order to raise the money required, the team got the help they needed from past Red Hawk, KATHRYN LAMASTRA.
My overall outlook is to always give back. So it was more of a, what can I do to help? It's something that I feel very strong about, is to always give back and make sure that you always remember where you came from.
LAMASTRA raised half the money the team needed by herself out of her own pocket, and the support of Montclair's past is more than welcomed by its president. The new look has received a ton of praise, in particular from the players.
I think they're awesome. I think no one was expecting us to have new uniforms this year. We were so excited when we walked into the locker room and they were hanging in our cubbies, so it was nice to see them.
While the look may be different, the team identity remains the same. Nearly a decade from her time at MSU, LAMASTRA still connects with the Red Hawk way to this day.
Your teammates are your family when you're at school, and that's what I miss most. You're on the court, you're off the court, you do everything together. You remember all the small moments that you were sitting there just cracking up laughing, or somebody did something that was out of the norm. It's those things that you go back and reflect on.
So far this year, Montclair State Athletics has seen impressive seasons from many of its teams. But there's lots of work that happens behind the scenes to make this possible. Recruiting, one of the biggest parts, isn't easy, and due to COVID health restrictions, the process this year looked much different from those in the past.
Yeah, recruiting during the pandemic, that was fun.
COVID, spring of 2020, was challenging, and it took a lot of creativity and just thinking about how we could stand out from every other program that was in the same situation.
Basically, obviously in the recruiting process, we try to go see players play in person. So couldn't travel for a year and a half, so a lot of it was video.
Most of them did not have a season. If they did play, they played like maybe 5 games, so it's almost like they had an entire year off. This is the only class I've ever had in my life that I did not see play live.
Recruiting really shifted from an in-person to an online process. While we weren't necessarily going out to our usual recruiting events, we weren't having visits all the time, we were able to reach a bunch of people by doing a lot of online meetings via Zoom.
So what we decided to do was host some meet and greets. I would ask 3 or 4 current members of the team to meet up with myself and 3 or 4 recruits, all on Zoom together. And I found that the group setting was a little bit more fluid in conversation than some one-on-one conversations with myself and 1 recruit and 1 person from the team. The current team, they ask questions to the recruits, about anything really, about their high school team, what they were looking for in their college experience, favorite memory. And that was interesting because it helped us get to know the recruits more, and it started to build some connections between the current members of the team and then their future teammates.
That COVID break really gave us, and I'm sure a lot of programs around the country,
a reset of what it was that we valued in a recruit. And we found that it's not just what we see on the football highlight. We want to see, you know, hey, are they the kind of kid that is engaged when they do the remote learning? Are they the kind of kid that's engaged in the community? We're able to expand our metrics more.
Any uncertainties we're feeling as coaches in meetings and Zooms and shifting to online resources, the student athletes and the families are feeling it as well. If you identify it and you talk about it and you allow it to happen naturally and speak through it with those recruits, I think it enabled us to build a deeper connection and help in the recruiting process.